The source of the European energy crisis is not some baffling mystery. In fact, it's like a junior cert maths problem. Radical green policies are quite clearly to blame. This is Ben Scallon and you're watching Gript Media. One of the most fundamental rules of economics, and one which is intuitively obvious to most people with common sense, is the law of supply and demand. If lots of people want a resource or a product and there's not a lot of it to go around, then the price will naturally go up as people compete for the little of it that's there, right? This is the most basic of market forces. It's really not rocket science. Your average 5-year-old could probably figure it out. Well, as simple as this may seem, it's apparently confusing and a mystery to Irish and European politicians, particularly when it comes to energy costs. It's clear by now that European energy prices are exploding across the continent, with some consumers seeing a 3-fold increase in their bills within a matter of months. Now, what could possibly be causing this brutal price hike? Could it be Donald Trump, climate change, aliens from outer space, or black magic? Or perhaps the answer is something much simpler and more obvious. Maybe it has something to do with European leaders going out of their way to reduce Europe's traditional energy supplies on purpose. Here is just a small sample of headlines from the last couple of years to demonstrate this point. Ireland joins alliance to phase out oil and gas production. France bans fracking and oil extraction in all of its territories. Portugal bids goodbye to oil and gas exploration. German government agrees to ban fracking indefinitely. Denmark set to end all new oil and gas exploration. Italy to block oil and gas exploration permits. Dutch confirm plan to end gas production at Groningen next year. EU to seek ban on oil and gas exploration in the Arctic. European Investment Bank to end all loans to oil and gas firms. That is a tiny sample of examples, by the way. There are many more than that could be pointed to, but you get the idea. And these are all from just the last couple of years. So to recap, European leaders, including our own here in Ireland, spend years running around shutting down every power station they can. They made sure that oil and gas, which we use to keep the lights on, is left in the ground, and they are banning people from looking for it. And they replace it with inefficient solar panels and wind turbines, which do not produce enough energy to sustain a society of our size. And then, after all that, they're shocked and horrified when energy starts running out and prices start to spiral out of control. Now, here's a fun test that you can do at home if you have teenage children. Invite your kids into the room and ask them, if we spend years reducing the energy supply in Europe, don't replace it with anything, and then everyone tries to use the small amount of resources left, will that scarcity make the price go up or down? If they answer the price will go up, well, congratulations, buy that boy or girl a can of Coke. Your child is officially smarter and has more cop on than virtually every government in Europe. To give you a flavour of how out of touch with reality politicians are on this issue, take recent comments by Green Party leader Ayman Ryan as an example. Ryan is currently both the Climate Minister and the Minister for Transport in Ireland, and as Transport Minister he was recently asked how he can justify the absurd prices of public transport. For example, on Irish Rail, a return ticket from Dublin to Cork costs about 80 to 90 euro. Meanwhile, a flight to Malaga in the south of Spain can be as cheap as 28 quid. This is clearly nothing short of mental and absurd. I mean, just look at this. So the minister was asked about this problem, and what did he say in response? More people will have to start using public transport before fares can come down. Is this how the government thinks that the economy works? Nobody is buying my product or service because the prices are simply way too high, so we'll wait until everyone starts using it, and then when there's massive demand, the price will go down somehow. Where do they actually find these lads? Or take Green TD from Dublin, Nasa Horrigan, who last week tabled a bill seeking to ban liquefied natural gas terminals in Ireland to save the climate. So we're experiencing an energy crisis already, and the only thing the Green TDs can apparently think of to do is find more ways to restrict our energy supply. How can we shut down even more forms of gas is her top concern. This is what you're up against during a crisis. And as it happens, by the way, People Before Profit, Sinn Féin and the Social Democrats all support the same policy, just FYI. And don't think for one moment that the government are alone on this issue. As Qui-Gon Jinn once wisely said, there's always a bigger fish. Take People Before Profit, who are up in arms about Ireland's energy crisis. They have an event on it, and alongside Breed Smith, they'll also have speeches from Not Here, Not Anywhere. So what exactly is Not Here, Not Anywhere? Well, let's consult their website. We are a nationwide, grassroots, non-partisan group campaigning to end fossil fuel exploration and the development of new fossil fuel infrastructure in Ireland. So in the same breath that PBP are giving out about rising energy costs, they are also speaking alongside activists whose sole purpose is to stop certain forms of energy from being used. You actually couldn't make this stuff up. It's literally beyond parody. And meanwhile, on the European continent, we hear a lot about Ukraine, which has now obviously been invaded by Russia. And as a result, Europe is now threatening Russia with all kinds of sanctions and penalties. Real weapons-grade hard talk. Are you starting on our mates in Ukraine, Putin? Well, someone better tell that Russian lad he better sleep with one eye open, yeah? You wouldn't like Ursula von der Leyen when she's angry. Sure, even Stephen Donnelly knows Taekwondo. Just try something in our neck of the woods and see what happens to you, mate. And all of this would be normally pretty scary for Putin, if it weren't for the fact that thanks to Angela Merkel and the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, Europe is now heavily reliant on Russian gas for its energy supply. So, in summation, we shut down all of our native energy production and infrastructure for years, we made sure that we're importing vast amounts of energy from Russia to keep the lights on, and then, once they have us firmly by the you-know-whats and control our energy supply, we start threatening them, all during an energy crisis. I actually didn't know that it was possible to checkmate yourself in a game of chess, but I guess you learn something new every day. What's really remarkable about this is that we're kamikazing our energy supply and dramatically hurting millions of people's quality of life with rising fuel costs and home heating bills and what have you not got. And meanwhile, only 7% of people in Ireland voted for the Green Party at the last general election. And yet, of all the ministers and ministers for state in the country, the Green Party holds 19% of those seats. So their sway over the government is far bigger than their support with the general public. The cost of living is now the #1 concern for voters, and 82% of respondents in a recent Irish Times poll said that they did not support measures like increasing carbon tax and so on. So while the Irish government, the opposition and the EU willingly rush us all headfirst into years of blackouts and skyrocketing energy prices, the people are clearly not sold on these issues. If we elected leaders by lottery and drew our government from the general population totally at random, I'm fairly sure that that government will be able to foresee this problem with more clarity than the current government has. I actually believe that random plumbers and shopkeepers and taxi drivers would do a better job of realizing, hang on now, this seems like a bad idea. The fact that this whole situation is seen as strange or confusing to our leaders is in and of itself strange and confusing. The source of the problem is not a mystery. The fact that our politicians can't diagnose the problem is the mystery. We're being led by people with so little basic foresight and such an inability to plan for the obvious consequences of their decisions that it should seriously concern us all. Please like and share this video, and if you enjoyed it, please consider signing up for a monthly donation via the link on screen to help us produce more content like this. Alternative media like Gript needs all the assistance it can get, and every donation goes a long way. As always, thanks for watching.